Welcome to Space Drift. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. A new dispute has erupted between the United States and the Taliban, focused on Bagram Airbase, a site loaded with history and symbolism. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has publicly demanded the Taliban return Bagram to American control, reigniting debates about U.S. foreign policy and Afghanistan's future. Trump made his demand during a state visit to the UK, standing beside Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and later amplified it on Truth Social. If Afghanistan doesn't give Bagram Airbase back to those that built it, the United States of America, bad things are going to happen. This blunt message, broadcast globally, forced a public response and shifted the focus back to military strategy in the region. The timing is striking. Over 4 years after the U.S. withdrawal, Trump's demand raises questions about America's evolving interests in Central Asia. For the U.S., it signals a possible return to influence in a region it left behind. For the Taliban, it's a direct challenge to their authority. The world is watching. Is this political theater, or the start of a new chapter in U.S.-Afghan relations? Trump's move has put the Taliban in a difficult position, forcing them to respond to a demand backed by threats. The debate now centers on sovereignty, history, and the future ambitions of both nations. The implications are far-reaching, with potential consequences for regional stability and international relations. The question remains, what does the U.S. hope to achieve, and how will the Taliban respond? The stage is set for a high-stakes confrontation. Bagram Airbase is more than a military installation. It was the nerve center of the U.S. and NATO mission in Afghanistan for 2 decades. Built by the Soviets in the 1950s, Bagram became a symbol of foreign power, housing thousands of troops and advanced military assets. Its location, just north of Kabul, offered the U.S. a strategic foothold in Central and South Asia, with proximity to Iran, Pakistan, and China. From Bagram, the U.S. projected air power, launched surveillance missions, and managed logistics for the entire war effort. Losing Bagram meant losing a critical vantage point for monitoring regional developments. For Afghans, Bagram represents both the power and the duration of foreign presence. For the Taliban, its capture in 2021 was a crowning achievement. The base's legacy is complex, embodying decades of conflict, intervention, and the struggle for control. Today, the Taliban use Bagram as a symbol of victory, even holding military parades to showcase captured U.S. hardware. The name Bagram still evokes powerful emotions and memories for all sides. Its fate remains a potent symbol in the ongoing contest for Afghanistan's future. Trump's demand for Bagram's return is backed by both threats and strategic reasoning. He warned, "We want it back, and we want it back right away. If they don't do it, you're going to find out what I'm going to do." This ambiguity is classic Trump, meant to create leverage and keep adversaries guessing. Trump's main argument: Bagram's proximity to China's nuclear facilities makes it a vital asset for U.S. surveillance and power projection. He reframes the issue as a matter of global superpower competition, not just Afghan security. Trump also claims negotiations are underway, hinting at a possible deal, Bagram in exchange for aid or recognition. However, there's no independent confirmation of such talks, and the Taliban have not acknowledged any direct discussions. Domestically, Trump uses the Bagram issue to criticize President Biden's withdrawal, positioning himself as the leader who would restore American strength. The demand is as much about shaping U.S. political narratives as it is about foreign policy. Trump's approach appeals to voters who see the withdrawal as a national humiliation. The call to reclaim Bagram is both a strategic play and a campaign message. The world is left to wonder, is this a real negotiation or political posturing? The Taliban's response to Trump's demand was swift and unequivocal. Bagram will not be returned. Spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid called on the U.S. to adopt realism, emphasizing Afghanistan's independence and territorial integrity. The Taliban invoked the 2020 Doha Agreement, arguing that Trump's demand violates the very terms his administration negotiated. Other Taliban officials echoed this stance, declaring that ceding any Afghan soil is impossible. Their message taps into deep national pride and a history of resisting foreign control. The Taliban's united front is both a rejection of Trump's threats and a statement of sovereignty. This puts the onus back on Trump. Will he escalate or back down? The Taliban's defiance plays well domestically but risks antagonizing a powerful U.S. political figure. For the Taliban, Bagram is now a symbol of victory, not a bargaining chip. To understand today's dispute, we must revisit the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The process began under Trump with the Doha Agreement, but the final exit was executed by the Biden administration. In July 2021, U.S. forces abandoned Bagram overnight without notifying Afghan commanders, leaving a security and symbolic vacuum. The abrupt departure demoralized Afghan forces and signaled the end of American support. Within weeks, the Taliban swept across the country, capturing Kabul and Bagram with little resistance. The base's fall was a strategic and propaganda victory, giving the Taliban control of vital infrastructure and abandoned U.S. equipment. Images of Taliban fighters at Bagram became a defining symbol of their triumph. Since then, the Taliban have showcased their control, holding parades and operating captured hardware. For them, Bagram is proof of their military prowess and sovereignty. The idea of handing it back to the U.S. is unthinkable. The legacy of the withdrawal still shapes every discussion about Bagram's future. Despite no formal recognition, U.S. Taliban communication continues, driven by necessity and pragmatism. Quiet meetings focus on counterterrorism, humanitarian aid, and the fate of detained Americans. In early 2025, U.S. envoys met Taliban officials in Kabul to discuss hostages and future relations. These talks have yielded some results, including the release of an American tourist. However, fundamental issues, human rights, women's rights, and inclusive governance, remain unresolved. Trump's claim of talking to Afghanistan about Bagram adds a disruptive element to these delicate negotiations. It's unclear if his team uses official channels or is pursuing a separate track. The Taliban have not confirmed any Bagram talks, suggesting Trump's statement may be more political than practical. This complicates existing diplomatic efforts, forcing the Taliban to navigate both official U.S. envoys and Trump's public demands. The situation remains tense, with every move scrutinized by both sides. The Bagram dispute now overshadows broader U.S.-Taliban engagement. The Bagram dispute has pushed U.S.-Taliban relations to a crossroads. Trump's demand and the Taliban's rejection highlight a deep gulf over sovereignty and strategic vision. For the Taliban, giving up Bagram is unthinkable. It would betray their core narrative of victory and independence. Their defiance reinforces their image as uncompromising nationalists. For the U.S., Trump's move forces a debate about whether a military presence in Afghanistan is still necessary. Any future administration must now contend with the legacy of withdrawal and the question of lost strategic assets. The relationship remains defined by mistrust and conflicting goals. While pragmatic engagement may continue, the Bagram issue shows how quickly dialogue can turn to confrontation. The path forward is uncertain. Will this lead to renewed pressure or fade as political theater? One thing is clear: Bagram remains a powerful symbol of a violent past and an uncertain future. The ghost of Bagram will continue to haunt U.S.-Afghan relations.